Welcome to another episode of the SWYP 7-Minute Supersonic Podcast. I am here with Garrett Gunderson from the Wealth Factory. Welcome, Garrett.
Hey, Matthew, how you doing, man? Good to be here.
Great. Give us a bio real quick.
Grew up in a coal mining town. Started my first business at 15, detailing cars. Won a Young Entrepreneur of the Year competition with that. It came with $5,000. I thought that was a ton of money. And unlike other kids who might have just blown it, I wanted to invest it. Found out I needed a custodian. My mom being this Italian, kind of from this old school mindset of like putting money in coffee cans. And that was their money management method. Wouldn't sign off on anything, but just kept asking questions, trying to figure out how to invest, where to invest. And when I was 18, got offered an internship in the financial industry, which essentially just meant bring your friends and family so we can peddle some mutual funds and life insurance to them, and we'll make you part of the commission. But it sounded cool to call it an internship. And in the year 2000, I went from being a little financial Einstein in my little community to being like, what the hell's going on? Because the market started to go down. And that's when I really learned about finance, because I got all my clients but one out of the market. Halfway through 2000, made 41 and 44% in 2001 and 2002 for them, when everybody else had double-digit losses. And even past that, asked this question constantly: what's guaranteed in the world of finance? And to me, I figured out it was saving tax, saving interest, saving hidden fees and commissions with investments, and duplicate coverages and costs with insurance. And so I become more of a cash flow and efficiency expert ever since. And in 2008, we did a survey of our entire database. We found out we work with more dentists than anyone, with more success than any other place. And a lot of it was because a bunch of my buddies from college went to dental school, referred me to the doctors they were associates for. And ever since, I've really enjoyed working with dentists and saving them money without budgeting.
So are dentists unique, or are they just like other small business owners?
No, they're unique for a few reasons. Number one, they are more methodical and analytical than most. So because of their nature to be more detail-oriented in maybe the training they have or the type of person that would be attracted to dentistry, they implement at a higher rate than most small business owners. The other thing that makes them unique is really just that they didn't necessarily always intend to be a business owner. They may have intended to be a doctor and found themselves a business owner. So I found them to be less arrogant and more open to ideas of what they could do to improve their business. And so those two factors make it just a dynamite profession that I really enjoy serving. And a lot of the names you mentioned before we started this recording that are really good friends of mine. Like I've built a lot of great friendships in the industry over time. And so we accidentally ran into this in 2008, figuring out, hey, this is a good place for us, and have spent a lot of time in it. Now, the only downside is it's a very territorial world where most of the time we're kind of like Switzerland, but there's a lot of places that promote us and other places that won't, because it's kind of like, you choose, are you Henry Schein or Patterson? You choose, are you, so it's like, so that's the only kind of frustration I have, because I just love to make a massive impact on the profession. And I feel like I've made a splash, but not the depth that I'd like to.
Right. Well, and I found actually myself in the dental industry the same way, almost accidental. And then once I found into it 17 years ago, I was like, this is just a great industry with really great people. And it's, what's nice is it's not so big. You're not in the, the big universe where you can get lost and there's so much going on and so much competition. Here, if you're good at what you do, you say what you're going to do, and you just follow through, you can find work and make a difference in people's lives. And I love that about this industry too, is that it's small enough that you can work with people and you can see things happen right in front of you. So,
and they're facing commoditization. They're facing the role of corporate dentistry, and that's a unique scenario where I feel like there's a lot that needs to be navigated. And if we find money for them, it typically helps them to be less marginalized and to reinvest back into their business and create more unique experiences. So it also provides a unique challenge for us at Wealth Factory that's engaging and captivating and fun at the same time.
Yeah. What trends do you see? Like, so you work with dentists all across the country. Before we started recording, we realized we know three people in common. But what trends, those guys we all mentioned are actually three different parts of the country. What trends or what similarities are there that you can kind of almost go into a practice and say, all right, I'm pretty sure this is what I'm going to run into?
Well, I mean, one, I'm seeing that 93% of dentists overpay on their taxes. So that's a pretty big trend. And we're talking about black and white, straightforward strategy. The second thing is we're finding that there's a lot of fear around the future of dentistry and how it's being, engaged from the public, and with private equity money coming in, and, multiple practice type scenarios here. And so you see a lot of uncertainty. Like, it used to be, hey, C equals doctor, open up an office. And yeah, there was still maybe a 10% bankruptcy rate, but overall much higher success rate than pretty much any other type of doctor out there. And now you're starting to see that there's more success for fewer people. So that gap is widening. So the knowledge base and the application of that knowledge has become even more critical, because it's not just about hanging a shingle anymore.
Right. And it's a big one. So how soon should someone get started figuring out, this is kind of seems like a simple question, but I think even as a business owner myself, you get started and maybe you're so busy just running the hamster wheel, right? For lack of a better word, you're just making it, you're just getting going, you're getting clients, you're doing your thing with dentists, you're getting patients, and you're just running the business, maybe not concerned about the taxes, the long-term financial, the retirement, the wealth. What point is the right time to get started on having good financial habits?
People might be surprised about this first part of the answer, but then not surprised about the other. Like, first off, I think that dentists start preparing for retirement far too early. And what I mean by that is they're putting money into deferred accounts that they're going to pay taxes on in the future, that have fees that come out whether they perform or not, that they don't understand because it's in a market that they're not really knowledgeable around. They're just kind of handing their money off. At the same time, they have high interest rates. At the same time, they're overpaying on taxes. At the same time, they haven't set up the proper corporate structure. At the same time, they haven't created the right saving disciplines or hired the right employees. So I feel like they take really good money from their business and chase bad profits with retirement plans that have been underperforming for a large number of years. And so I think from the time they're in school, that's where you start saving a percentage of your money off the top and putting it into a separate account that I call a wealth capture account, where you start getting your credit score up and you start negotiating about your interest rates and creating a little bit of liquidity and safety. The earlier, the better in that. We've actually been training dentists right now that are in school. They heard me on a podcast and then reached out to us, and I did a big group recently, and they even came to one of our big summits where a bunch of the students were there, because there's certain habits you can get into right then. But at the same time, I feel like we've been guilted into investing early, often, and always, regardless of market, in things outside of ourselves, like the stock market. Right. And that kind of thing can harm a business owner. There's different rules in personal finance for businesses. Sometimes we take our good money and chase bad profits because we're taught, trained, and educated from an early age. You've got to start early. You got to invest always. You got to do it often. And that's kind of this Great Depression mentality that was handed down, that doesn't have a lot to do with thoughtfulness. I believe in automatically saving, but deliberately investing. And I feel like if you're a business owner, the best investments you could make are a lot of times into the infrastructure of your business and hiring the right people, building out the right processes and procedures, having the right automation and technology, understanding what your marketplace is, investing in that marketing. And then when that really starts to grow, taking a percentage off of the top and putting it into savings, building up massive liquidity so you have staying power. Or when the right opportunity comes and you have cash, you negotiate and get a better purchase on something. So I feel like every dentist has major opportunities in their lives. A lot of them aren't liquid enough to take advantage of it, because finance overemphasizes investing and underemphasizes liquidity. And liquidity is key to actually capitalize on the best investments. Investing all the time doesn't make sense. The best thing to do is actually stay liquid and safe, and then invest in things that you understand, and that you can capitalize on because of market opportunity, not because of mass hysteria and hype around everything that the world is doing.
Right. Are dentists, like most people, watching too much Susie Orman and other like general financial self-help or investment advice people that are giving real general advice for just the masses, and they're not getting that they're a really specific, unique situation and need specific help?
I haven't found that as often in dentistry, which is nice. I feel like people like Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, even my friend David Bach, I could list them. These are financial gurus that are great for the masses, great for the person that needs the budget because they're spending more than they make. They're a train wreck, and those people are the best at getting a train wreck on track. Right. But when you have good profitability, when you have a growing business, cutting back can create a scarcity mindset and actually destroy profitability and harm you because of everything is being about shrinking. But no one shrinks their way to wealth. It's about production instead of reduction. It's about value creation instead of scrimping and budgeting. And so, yes, that mindset could be absolutely detrimental. And some dentists definitely fall prey to the scarcity mindset because they spend so much time pinching pennies instead of thinking of what they can do to produce more, to create more value, to deliver better services, to create a unique experience.
How many, let me ask you one more question. We're gonna wrap it up. Maybe we'll do another episode. We've got 1,000 things I could ask you. How many dentists are prepared to retire at age 65? Any idea?
The best stats we've seen is 8% at age 65 are economically independent, meaning if they sold their practice and stopped practicing, only 8% would have enough income to cover life's basic expenses. This isn't even living high off the hog. I've seen numbers as high as only 2 or 3% being there. The number, as we're gathering the data and looking it up, and I have 2 researchers, Stephen and Tom, it just depends on which data we're looking at. But any way you look at it, we're talking about somewhere between a 92% and a 98% failure rate. And we're talking about a profession where there's like $20 million that slide through their hands and fingers over time, but it didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Because they didn't have enough liquidity, because they overpaid on their taxes and they had surprises that way, because certain things happen in your business, whether that's embezzlement or turnover, reputation risk, or worst case, you shoot a lion, stuff like this. And it destroys so much of all the wealth that they built. And because they're not financially prepared for surprises, that derails and devastates them. I think with the right financial awareness and building the right foundation first, sustainability through safety measures, and then focusing on growth, that the next incident that's a financial surprise doesn't have to wipe them out. Right. Because it's not for a lack of effort. It's not for a lack of trying. It's not even for a lack of allocation of money. It's because there's things that come along that confiscate wealth that can be prepared for 90% of the time.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. We're going to wrap it up there, but our next one, I'm going to start with maybe specifically what are some of these little things? Because I have a feeling what I'm hearing is that these aren't big. There's a lot of money that goes through a practice over the course of its lifetime. And the changes to make it from unsuccessful and not ready for retirement to making it successful, liquid, and ready for the future sounds like I don't want to call them simple things because I don't want to undermine, the importance of them, but they're things that are not, we're not talking about launching rockets here in outer space.
We're not talking about taking on more risk. We're not talking about working longer hours. We're not talking about saving more money than it's already being saved. Right. We're talking about financial efficiency, a little bit of financial savvy, and some basic preparation that changes the whole game.
All right. We're gonna jump into that on the next episode. All right, Garrett, thanks for joining me on the SWYP 7 Minute Supersonic Podcast.
Thanks for having me.